Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or as we like to say here at Shady Acres Woodshop, howdy. Today we have Norfolk Island Pine. This comes to us from viewer Don Lyons in Florida. This piece is a little over 11 inches in diameter and a little over 5 inches tall. Don tells me this came down in Hurricane Matthew in 2016. I wasn't familiar with Norfolk Island pine, but Don gave me a couple of references to look at, and he also told me that the pith has a hole all the way through it. So you can see it there in the center, and then you can see it inside my faceplate ring. Right there, it goes all the way through. So either we're going to plug that or we're going to leave it. I'm not sure which one. What makes this wood special and different is the knots in it. It's all the way around. Sometimes they can be up to 8 knots in a circumference. This one seems to have 4 that I've found. And those knots, when you turn it, they'll kind of splay out. They won't be just round. And that's what gives this a unique look. I'm going to take this over here to the lathe. We'll get it mounted up and we'll get to turning some kind of bowl out of this. Stand by. The piece is off balance, and that's intentional on my part. I wanted to get rid of this flat spot first. So this is the closest. These 2 points here are the closest, and that's the furthest away, the other side. So it's out of balance, and I can only turn it about 400 RPM. I'm going to be using my standard grind 5/8 inch bowl gouge, all sharpened up. Mask and face shield on. Maybe we can pick the speed up a little bit now. About 550. Well, I just can't take it. Gotta put a glove on, that hurts. Okay, I'm going to start working on this corner. I think I'm just going to make a real plain, ordinary bowl shape, maybe a fruit bowl shape out of this, and just let the wood grain, the knot, speak for themselves. About 780 RPM. I'm going to go to work on the bottom because it's not flat, and that's causing some of my vibration here. And now I can pick the speed up to about 1,000 RPM. I don't know when we start seeing these branches coming down, knots. I might have to, maybe it'll only show on the inside, I'm just not sure. I suppose if I took enough away on the outside it would show, but I don't want to just waste wood. And I think we're going to put a recess on this rather than a tenon. We'll see. Let's mark out for that recess. I have my divider set at 4 inches. Sometimes I'm asked, why don't I start here and just set it at 2 inches? Well, the reason is because that hole from my live center is kind of big, and I could easily get off center in there. So I'll just do it this way. This end will touch the wood, this end will not. And I just make a slight mark on the left, and then adjust. The left and the right should match. See how on the right side there, I need to move towards that line until they line up like that. So there's our recess. And I need to lower this down and start over. And there's our pith hole. I don't need the full 4 inches. I just like to leave myself a little whoopsie room. I'm going to switch to a 1/2 inch swept back bowl gouge to work on the side here. Maybe I'll try my check and see if that's good. I just put a dovetail on the inside there. Yeah, that's good. Okay, what kind of base are we going to put on here? And where are we going to put it? Not all the way out here. We'll come in here a little further. I guess I'll go back on this corner. Maybe I'll stick with this 1/2 inch and see how it does. Yeah, I'd rather use the standard grind. Also, maybe I should bring up my tailstock, although that's going to put a hole in the center. Because I'm getting some vibration from no tailstock support. Well, maybe I can use my scraper out here. I'm just about done out here anyway. Yeah, we'll just try the scraper. Time for sanding. So before we start the sanding, I need some advice. If you were me, would you plug this hole? Remember, this is the pith. This is the natural part of the wood, and with Norfolk Island pine, the pith is hollow. So that's the way it's supposed to be. But some people fill it. And I have this dowel. I'd have to drill the hole slightly bigger. It's too small for, or too large for a 1/4 inch. And too small for this 5/16 dowel. So if you were me, what would you do? Now remember, you're me, not you. Phil likes things natural. Phil likes things the way they're supposed to be, the way they came into the shop. I just don't know. I just don't know what to do. But now's the time to do it. I can shove it up in there enough that when I do the inside, I'll cut it away. And here, I guess I can tap it in flush and then sand it. Plug it or don't plug it? That is the question. Okay, quit hollering, I heard you. I'll leave that just a little bit proud, and then I can sand it off flush. We'll let that set up for, I don't know, 20 minutes or ½ hour or something, and then we'll get to sanding. starting the sanding at 80 grit. I'll work up through 400 grit at least, and I'll bring you back when it's time to put some finish on here. We got to figure out what that's going to be. See you in a bit. Well, alrighty then. I'm applying sanding sealer, shellac-based sanding sealer, and then we'll go with shellac for a final finish. I just don't know anything about this wood. I don't know if the gray that we're seeing is spalting or if that's just the nature of the wood. I don't know. But I got a real nice sanding job on here. I'm often asked if I will do a video on just finishing, because I always skip over the second step, the shellac. And my answer is always, the reason I don't show the shellac application is because it looks exactly like this. No difference whatsoever. So if you're seeing this, you're seeing the shellac. And this will probably take 2 coats of sanding sealer. I'm not used to working on a big piece like this. The sanding sealer isn't going very far. Well, I do big pieces, but, well, I guess it's because it's softwood. It's not hardwood. I guess that's why it's just soaking it right up. So I'll put a couple of coats of this on, and at least a couple of coats of shellac. I'll see you in a while. We're going to be turning at 1200 RPM, freshly sharpened 5/8 inch bowl gouge, mask and face shield on. See, they're starting to show up now. Oh, there's a little peak in here. They're coming through, slow but sure. I'm gonna have to get this tailstock out of here pretty soon. I can't do much with it there. I'm gonna sharpen up. Well, these are not coming through as quickly as I'd hoped. I hope I don't run out of bowl here before we get to them. You can see the possibility. That's the best one. This one's coming on pretty strong. Well, I'm just going to have to get rid of the tailstock, just in my way. Well, I'm beginning to think we're not going to see the branches on the inside, are we? I don't know why that is. Maybe they'll all show up at the bottom. I don't know. There's, I don't know if you can see it, there's the 5/16 inch dowel that I put in there. Well, let's get rid of this center part that's in my way as well. Well, we're about half an inch at the bottom. Well, I'm disappointed that we're not seeing our branches inside there. Looks like that might be one there, but I can't go much deeper. Yeah, we're just about done. I'm gonna go sharpen up and take another pass or two and see if I can't clean it up a bit, and then we'll be done. I think that's it. Time for sanding. I'm going to start the sanding at 80 grit with my 2-inch disc sander. The lathe will be spinning forward at about 300 RPM, and then I will alternate between forward and reverse, and I'll work up through 400 grit. And I'll show you all that as soon as I get my mask on. Now I'll bring you back in a little bit when it's time to put the first coat of sanding sealer on. See you in a bit. The first of many coats of sanding sealer. I lost track of how many coats I put on the outside. It was at least 6. I just can't get enough on here because it's end grain. So on the outside it was at least 6 coats of sanding sealer and then 2 coats of shellac. And that did the trick. It finished up real nice out there. Well, so this is what I'll be doing for a while. I'll get a couple coats on tonight and then I'll finish it up tomorrow and I'll bring you back then. Well, here it is, one Norfolk Island pine bowl in the books. I think it's probably a salad bowl, maybe a fruit bowl. It didn't turn out like I thought it was going to turn out, but it's a nice piece nevertheless. And I thought maybe I'd done something wrong, so I looked up several other pieces on the internet and they all pretty much look like this one. So it's just the way it is. This one does have this very cool flower. See that flower? Is that the one? Oh, this one. Oh, this one. Look at that. They all the knots kind of look like flowers, but that one really stands out. It's 11 inches in diameter and 5 inches tall. There's the bottom all finished up. I decided to leave the recess not very deep, and in this case I think it adds a little something. All the pieces I saw have this gray grain in them, so I guess that's not spalting, that's just the way it is. It's a nice piece. Nice big bowl. Thank you, Don Lyons from Florida, for sending this along for all to enjoy. If you like this video, thumbs up please, I'd sure appreciate it. If you're a subscriber, thank you very kindly, I truly appreciate that. If you're not a subscriber, you might consider becoming one. I put out regular videos about 1 a week and I'd like to keep in touch. An easy way to subscribe is just click my picture you see there near the end of the video. Your comments are always welcome and I read all of them. So for now, this is Phil, Shady Acres Woodshop, signing off.